take care of you. And today I can say that my mother's words were, were true. Found out if you say.
All right. Welcome to Gospel Diaries, y'all. Listen, I'm in the city of Los Angeles, and I'm with a gem to the gospel music industry. I'm so excited to delve into his Gospel Diaries. Before we get started, remember to like and share because this is content from my heart to yours. But I am with the one and only, oh my God, wait a minute now. Dr. Henry Jackson.
I am blessed, thank you. How are you?
Oh, you got a nice hand grip right there. I'm doing pretty good. Listen, you've been on the battlefield for some time now.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Really? You've seen a lot of things come and go and a lot of modifications over the years you've been in gospel music, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to delve into a lot of those things, but we must pay homage to one of your musical influences, Harrison Bubba Johnson, because that is the reason why I'm here in Los Angeles, to start remembering or reflecting on the music of Harrison Bubba Johnson.
Harrison Johnson. Well, when I came to Los Angeles in 1968, actually, I was singing with a group called LA All Stars, which was the first group I ever sang with, because I didn't sing before I came here. I always played the piano from a kid, but I didn't sing. And I guess Harrison heard something that he liked, and he approached me about joining the LA Community Choir. I'm like, I don't sing in choirs. I play for choirs, I don't sing. And so I went to rehearsal. He convinced me to come, and I was so intimidated when listen, everybody in that choir could sing. I don't mean sing at. They could sing. And I was like, oh, these young folk can sing. So I said, well, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I joined that first night that I came, and I never led a song for over a year. Harrison didn't even know I could really do a whole lot, but when DJ Rodgers left the choir is when, because DJ was the main lead singer, and when he left, Harrison said, well, Jackson, you got to do it now. I'm like, what? I can't do what DJ does. I didn't have that kind of skill, but he seemed to think I did. So that was kind of the beginning of me really focusing on being a singer.
Take us to the music scene, because I want the younger audience to kind of get a glimpse of who the Los Angeles Community Choir was back in that time that you were with them.
Well, I think every young singer who wasn't anybody wanted to be in that choir.
Really?
And from that choir, there were so many artists that came. Billy Preston, Sandra Blinky Williams, Edna Wright, the lead singer for the Honeycomb, Eddie Kendricks, and it goes on, and Mel Carter. So many great singers came out of that choir. So Bubba influenced a lot of people. And his legacy will live on in that respect, because he got so many people that came through his influence. And I'm glad to have been a part of that, because I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't have that experience. And God bless the child. That was the first thing I ever recorded.
Is that not mistaken? Who is that leading with you? Is someone else leading with you?
That's Mildred.
Right, Mildred. Okay,
Casey.
Yes.
Mildred Casey. We did a duet on that, and that was Bubba's arrangement. So I just did what he asked me to do.
But listen here, we got to go here. Okay, so I had to have been, let's see, roughly about 13, 14, maybe I could have been 12. But I was at this church on the west side of Chicago called New Miracle Temple. I remember all of this. Do you hear what I say?
I see you do.
Thank you, Holy Ghost. So I was at this church, New Miracle Temple, and the preacher was just about to get up. And this woman comes up, and oh my God, he had the most beautiful, his organ is jazzy flavor and everything. And this woman says, some folks would rather, and I'm just the way that she attacked these lyrics.
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the world is going on here? I mentioned that to say you were actually in the studio for the second recording of I Decided to Make Jesus My Choice. So I know my experience of hearing the song in a total different, with a facelift, but you know the original. Let's talk about being in the studio when you are recorded I Decided to Make Jesus My Choice.
I was in the studio for both.
Oh, yeah, you were.
For both of them.
So let's talk about it.
The second one, I was a little bit more involved with the choir then because that was on the Nashville label. So that album contains the songs that I wrote too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was even in the studio, recording studio, it was fire-filled. You know,
really?
It was very spiritual. That song, I don't care when we sung it, it always affected.
It's a demanding song in a sense.
Well, it just draws people.
Yeah. You know? Let's talk about young DJ Rodgers, Los Angeles Community Choir, on fire for God.
DJ was a brash, young 17-year-old. Oh, very cocky. Mm-hmm. He just knew what he wanted to do. Bubba had to really rein him in quite often because he was very headstrong. Mm-hmm. And to some point where a lot of the choir members didn't like him because of he was so cocky, but I appreciated that because to me, it was confidence. Mm-hmm. It wasn't cockiness necessarily. He trusted himself. He knew what he could do and what he wanted to do. And he did it as a teenager. Mm-hmm. He was a teenager. And I was always impressed with that. We became very close in the choir. We were roommates when we would go out on the road somewhere. Mm-hmm. DJ and I shared a room together. So I liked him. And then, of course, he left the choir, which Harrison just pitched a fit. But, you know, DJ, he had to follow what God was doing for him, you know, and he went with the Watts Community Choir when Brother Joe Matthews, I think he started that Watts Community Choir, and DJ was the director. Wow. And from there, he went to his second career.
Right. And you know, I think I'm appreciative that you shared that about DJ because when I think of songs like I went to the water, Chris found a drink, found out son, like the way that his delivery was almost like it matches the personality that you described because they were so like it's authoritative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's amazing that you gave us a description of the character, and I can hear it through his vocal presentation.
Seen me.
Yes.
And that was one of the greatest experiences of my life because he was an amazing producer.
Really?
Oh, the boy was so creative. He was genius in the studio. And I just loved it because the stuff that he got out of me, I don't think I would have ever done myself.
Listen, I have been getting messages and emails on like a lot of the narrative, so to speak, of Gospel Diaries. And so I'm getting more into the element of humanizing situations opposed to dehumanizing. You know? And the reason why I say that is because, you know, the same thing that was going on back in like probably 50, 40, 60, 70 years ago is still surfacing today. So, but I know you left the choir, and I don't know how far you want to talk about that, but let's talk about, you know, being heard, you know, in the gospel industry.
When the Lord started giving me songs, because I never considered writing, and all of a sudden I started getting these ideas for songs, and it was sounding pretty good. And so I'm not mistaken, but I think Help Us Master may have been the first. If not that one, it was Nothing Can Turn Me Around. One of those two, I'm not sure. And so when I took him to Harrison, he liked him, you know. He says, so I said, can I teach it to the choir? He said, yeah, you know. So, and the Lord just started showering me with songs. And the album that I did, the Los Angeles Community Choir is here. On that album, I have 6 songs that I had written for the choir. And I loved that choir, and I loved the inspiration that they gave me, because writing for those voices was an inspirational thing. You know, whenever God gave me a song, I could hear the person's voice that was going to do the lead on it. So, we did that great album, and how do I want to say this?
I don't know, but I'm here. I'm listening to you.
The album got released before I signed any contracts for it. I was upset, and was like, I couldn't believe that Harrison had allowed them to do that. And when I approached him about it, he just kind of blew me off, like, "Oh, don't even worry about it. What do you mean? I have nothing to protect my music that I've written." So that was very hurtful.
Wow.
And I left the choir because of that, and I got an attorney and had my attorney to write to the record company, and the contracts got signed and all of that, but there was no help from Harrison. It was something I had to do on my own, but it hurt me because I really loved that choir. The choir was like a family.
Right.
We loved each other. We hung out with each other after rehearsal. We'd hang out in the restaurant all night, and they had to go to work the next morning, everybody. But, we just wanted to be with each other. And so I left, and I was just very miserable because I left the choir because I loved them so much. And so I moved back home. I'm from San Francisco originally. And so I went back home, and I wasn't happy. And my mom knew I wasn't happy, but I was just.
You had a beautiful mom, huh? She could sense it, huh?
Yeah, she was a very, very wise woman. So when Charles May called me and said he and his sister Annette and his other brother and sister, they were doing an album, and he said, "Well, I want to use a community choir, LA Community Choir." I said, "Well," and at that time, most of the dominant singers had left the choir.
Gotcha.
Because of the same type of situation that I went through. They experienced. And so I told Charles May, I said, "Well, here, let me give you the numbers of these 5 girls who you want to have background singing." This was Maddie Davis, Mildred Casey, Gloria Coleman, Shirley Watkins, and Diane Glasgow. And those were the girls that he used on the album. They sounded so good to the producer. The producer wanted to record them. So Diane says she told him, because she and I stayed in contact. She said, "Well, we're not a group. Henry just told Charles to call us and do the background." So he said, "Well, can I talk to him? Maybe Anyway, he called me and said, "I have a contract for you if you will come back to LA and put this group together and write some material." He said, "I just love the sound that they have." I said, "Oh, I can do that." Here's somebody offering you a contract, a recording contract, and he had sight unseen. He didn't know me, but they told him he should to talk to me. And so I went to the Great Council, which was my mother, and then I talked to her about it. She said, "Well, son, follow your dream. Go on back to LA."
Wow.
So I did. I write better for others than for myself. I don't think I can sing my songs the way I write for others, And I have some beautiful songs. But let me tell you, on the first album that the company did, the producer was Gene Barge. I'm from Chicago. He said to me, he said, "Jackson, you give all the best songs away. You need to sing this one. You need to sing this one." I said, "I got a group. What do I need to sing all the songs for? I got these singers." When I had a contract with Murr, with Word Records, Billy Ray Hearn, who eventually started Sparrow Records, he told me basically the same thing. He said, "The group is nice and the girls are nice, But you need to sing more because it's your voice
Uh-huh.
that will sell more than the female singers that I had. So
those songs, like I mean, we're right in the hub of the disco era. This music has been it's more progressive. You hear more string presentation. You hear orchestral. Your first album is heavy inundated with orchestral arrangements,
Well,
which I really appreciate. Because and then not only that, I consider every last song on that album a ballad because you tell a perfect story. Let's talk about songs like is it Just for Me?
Just for Us?
Just for Us. Lord, go. Get away. Talk about it before I get up and start
Well,
shouting.
you know, the company is Gospel Truth Records. When they contracted me, they said we want crossover music, the music that people can listen to, not just in the church, but outside of the church too. So that song was like a ecological song. It talks about what God does for us. Like, what would this world be like if there was no sun to light the day? And if, when darkness came, if there was no moon? He says we should be grateful to God above for these wonders he performs day after day, just for us.
You know, I think music composers, or I rather say lyricists, they lose the realization that they are artists, and artists in every sense of the word, that they paint images, but in this particular arena, they paint stories with words. And you seem to have grasped this concept because every song, even when you think of the song like the truth catches a lie.
Well, I didn't write that, but we recorded it.
But however,
it's the story, it's the message.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like you're always in that element. Like even on the Los Angeles Community Choir album, the one that you wrote for Maddie. You know, you can't
help us master.
Help us master. I mean,
that's a prayer.
To no matter what song it is, you know what I mean. So how do you determine the tempo of the song?
I don't. It's just given.
Really?
It just comes that way. I don't say I'm gonna sit down and write a fast song.
But is there a descriptive way, like because people tend to believe like if the song is fast paced, oh, it's a happy song. If it's slow, it's a sad song. But not all slow songs are sad songs, and not all fast songs are happy songs. You know what I mean?
Well, it's true, but tempo wise, they just come with the right tempo.
Wow.
Most of the time. Now there's one instance, one of my songs, that I did in an up tempo first, and that's He Didn't Have to Do It.
Oh, see,
I recorded that. It was an up tempo first, and then a friend of mine suggested. He said, "Why don't you slow that down and give it a different feel?" So I did, and that's what most people know because they never heard the fast version. They only know the slow version, which became very popular. And it was recorded by a few other people too.
Well, the most popular is, if that's a word, Mississippi Mass Choir.
Yeah, the Mississippi Mass. They did do that song.
Yes. Okay, so look.
Which I've never gotten a dime.
Huh? Oh, see, look, I forgot you don't hold no punches. You don't hold like only Jesus. Like I remember I was sitting there listening to, because I like to listen to the vinyl, that 33. I like just listen to it from song to song, and then flip it over to the B side and finish on off, right? So I flipped that thing over at Reverend Isaac Whitman, and I flipped it over, and the song I heard him. It was just almost like he was he was like he was being intimate with the microphone, you know what I mean, or being intimate with these words. And I'm like, wait a minute, now this song sounds familiar. And showing below, it was Henry Jackson. And then all my life, God knows I love Cosmopolitan Church of Prayer. I am a diehard fan. And that I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
Henry Jackson. I mean, and the list just goes on and on and on. I don't even think to this day you know how many people actually covered your song. But let's talk about the ones that you do know. What kind of feeling do you have knowing that artists of that tier recording your music?
Grateful. I am happy and grateful. when anybody records a song that I've written. And Father Hayes, Cosmopolitan, Father Hayes was the first person to bring me to Chicago, to bring the company to Chicago. And we had a wonderful time at Cosmopolitan. And from that first time, they started singing my music, you know. They did Such As I Have, they did I'm Satisfied. I think they may have done I'm So Thankful too. I'm not sure.
No, they didn't, but I tell you one thing, Reverend Maceo Woods and the Christian Tabernacle Concert Choir, Just Been Alive.
Just Been Alive. And the Tommies recorded one of my songs too.
Yeah.
The Road to Heaven, they recorded that one that I did with Harrison Johnson.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, so I'm grateful when people record my music.
How many years with the Henry Jackson Company? It was from '72 until...
We did 3 albums together. I think we dispersed. We broke up in 1977.
And what were some of the highlights of being with the company? I know you did a TV appearance with Billy Graham's show, Fresh
Soul Free.
Soul Free. Let's talk about that. How was that experience?
It was great.
Big TV cameras and
it was great with the TV studio audience. It was great. I loved every minute of it.
Did you actually see it air on TV?
I think I did. It's been so long ago. I have pictures, you know, of it, but yeah, I think I did see it.
How many people have a testimony that says they were on Billy Graham's gospel music show?
I was my group. I thought was one of the better groups in the nation at the time. You know, we were considered in the same vernacular as the Edwin Hawkins singers and the Richard Smallwood singers, and I loved that. I loved having a group. You know, a singing group. I never really contemplated singing by myself.
Although you're well capable.
Well, I know that now.
Oh, really?
I didn't listen to Sister Stella George told me. She said, "You don't need all those people. You can't pay them. Ain't but 4 quarters and $1. You sing." She said, "Oh, good setup."
Wow.
And you know, I was with her for 20 years as her accompanist. So I was hard-headed. It took me a while before I decided to just stretch out on my own.
And we're glad you did. But listen, we're going to take a short intermission because I want to talk about this album. You're going to be seeing it right on the screen. It should be up there right about now. But my Lord, if you don't look like you should be in the GQ magazine, I mean, the images are striking. I mean, you look just like a model. And on that album, there's a song called "He Proved It."
Reminded of that awful price he had to pay. I wanna spend my life telling the whole wide world, every man and woman, tell every boy and girl that suffering was the price that paid for paradise. True that he's gone away, but he's coming back one day. I wanna love him more and more. I wanna give his name the praise, and I wanna dedicate my life to him. He first loved me. He proved it for me when he died. He proved it. It should have been me. Love me. Oh, yeah. It should have been me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was segment one. We do have another segment where we're going to talk about the King of Gospel, Reverend James Cleveland. So don't forget to like and share and subscribe, all of that good stuff. And if you'd like to make a donation, the information is on the screen. All right, we'll see you on segment two.